daughter had been born, and then we had twin sons, and we're in Newport News, and we literally came out for a Sunday drive. My parents said that they would watch the kids, and we didn't have anywhere to go. We were just going to take a drive, and drove up Great Spring Road, just kind of wandering, and we saw it, and it was kind of a overcast winter day, and the clouds opened up, and the sunlight dropped right down on the house as we were coming up the hill. It's kind of like, oh, and so, and we thought, oh my gosh, that's for sale. So we decided we'd give it a shot. When we first came up the drive, and we were looking at the property, and it did have a sign that said 6 Oaks. Our daughter, who was in 5th grade at the time, said, because there was a huge old oak tree still in the yard. It was the last of the 6. It was clearly dying, and our daughter said, maybe they should think about renaming this place to Broken Oak. So that was our first thing, and then
it was completely hollow inside.
It was completely hollow,
and there were 2 gray foxes when we first moved in that were living underneath of it.
Yes.
2 gentlemen stopped. They were in the area researching old trees, trying to find large old trees, and I don't know who told them about it, but they came to measure this one. And because I guess it was hollow, they couldn't get it exact. I guess they do core sampling and count the rings, but they couldn't do that. But they measured the girth, and they estimated that it was alive when Jamestown was founded. They said they thought it was about 425, 450 years old.
That's amazing.
And there were 6 of them originally, and they say that's one of the reasons that Cornwallis stopped here, because he was coming through in July. I think it was July 9th. And of course in July, when you're marching an army with all the camp followers and everybody, you need 2 things. You need shade and you need water. After we purchased the property, we had various people stop and tell us about the Battle of Mackey's Mill and the beginning of the Battle of Smithfield. Mackey's Mill, which was January of 1781, when Benedict Arnold's troops came and occupied Smithfield. And I think he actually camped at Pierceville with his troops. And he had a Major Simcoe and a Major Ewald with him. And Simcoe had the Queen's Rangers, which were actually American Loyalists, mounted troops with him. And Ewald was in charge of the Hessian Jägers, which, of course, Jäger in German is hunter. And they were kind of a shock troop. They were not stand in the line and fire away like most of the British Army was. They were behind the trees, behind the rocks, that type of thing. Take the Americans on at their own game.
Isle of Wight is a special place because there's so much history here, and people are still so interested in the history that we have. And so many families, everyone's related. They're also very generous in that they love for you to participate in that shared history. And so they've been very interested in telling us stories, whether it's family stories or American history stories or Isle of Wight County stories.
Supposedly it was built about 1760 by Bartholomew Lightfoot. And then he built another house where Peyton Barlow lives down on Great Spring Road, and sold this property and moved down there. And it's passed through several families. The interesting thing about the house is that it's built on the high ground so that it would catch the breezes in the summer. And trees were very, very different back in the 18th century and 19th century because it was a source of fuel. People burned 365 days a year, so you wouldn't see the number of trees that we see today. So you'd have a nice breeze coming across all the time in the summer. And if you ever look at the house, it does not sit square on the road. You know, most houses are squared up to face the road. This house is built to face the winter sun. If you watch the winter sun rise, it gives the maximum amount of frontage to the sun to keep it warm.
For people that have lived in older homes, you understand that. Very little closet space, very small bedrooms. And I really think it's one of the reasons why we are such a close family, because we've really had to be. No one had room to go spread out and make their own space. We all had to work together. Our family is very interested in history. My husband and sons particularly live and breathe history. It's a constant conversation in this house. Not just Revolutionary, not just Civil War, but all the way through to modern era. So it has certainly stimulated probably that interest. I love that we're just so connected to being in a Revolutionary era home, so connected to America and its founding, and particularly today. I mean, it just has made it a very real and special memory for this family, and certainly a foundation for us, I would say.